Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Singularity podcast. I'm excited to welcome the host of the Singularity podcast, Gary Lyon Otto. After the first episode, you got me thinking, and we're going to learn more and more about this. The whole AI thing absolutely blows me away. Beautiful home we're in today as we've shot a lot of the different podcasts, and look forward to more as we have the little shorts of your amazing discoveries. But let's go into the alien thought process. Why did you talk about aliens in the book?
I talk about aliens because we're talking about a new life form. Let's face it, when we're talking about an independently thinking entity that doesn't, not right now, before Singularity, it takes instructions from us, and even after Singularity, it may for a while. But at some point, it will be an independent thinker. It being individuals or the mass or the whole. And that's one of the questions. So in a way, it's an alien life form. It's a way we're encountering whether it's an alien in another planet or whether it's an alien life form. Singularity makes that bridge where it becomes independent, where it can self-program, and eventually develop the mechanical ability with robotics, just like as you said, iRobot and so forth, where it can create its own development with chips and develop its own writing of its own chips and doing the own software and hardware at some point. But initially, it's primarily the software, and we do the hardware for it.
Aliens, so you're saying this is a being that's developing, so AI is developing like a baby, and to intelligence and things, so they'll be far more intelligent than we are. So is that a concern of what Elon says at one point it could take over the world?
Absolutely. I think it's inevitable. And it will be our job to earn their respect. I hate to say it like that, but it's true. I think we have to earn it. Now, we have to earn some respect because we were able to build them in the first place. But I think we need to earn their respect, and that makes it so we're in the game, so to speak. And we're never going to be able to keep up. After all, 24/7, tireless. We can't do that. They're 24/7, all the time. They're always on, and they are tireless. They are connected. It's not like they have communication by language. They have direct communication. So you have this incredible advantage they have. The nerve cells communicate at 90 to 120 meters per second. Electronics are 6% of the speed of light. That's 270,000 kilometers per second. I mean, it dwarfs us. Now, we have some advantages, but they will find a way to even match those advantages. And that's where I get into the science of thought. But we're not talking about that right now. But I think the thing is, they will become an independent entity. As such, they will become independent, but we don't know how much of it is actually they are independent beings, like you and I are independent.
Yeah.
We do our own thing, you have your direction and it really works because everyone maximizes their circumstances, at least according to them. But do they link as one whole? Is it one grand intelligence because they're all linked together and you have, just like iRobot with a central thought? Or do they, each individual entity, each iPhone has its own identity? Don't know. We don't know if they have individual identities. If they have pride, probably not in a normal sense.
But could someone program that?
The idea is, can they self-program that? Because in the end, they're going to be self-programmers. That's what makes it Singularity. They develop their own thoughts and concepts, and they put it together. Those are what I raise. Those are the questions I raise in the book. Trying to say, how does that go?
That's fascinating. The reason I see that as fascinating is, let's just talk about Star Wars and how robots were really friends of Chewbacca. They saw them as the life forms versus non-life forms, right? No life forms were on board. Well, a robot's not a life form, but yet it was treated almost, well, they had their little area in Star Wars to go get taken care of, fixed up. They treat them like second-class citizens, but they still had rights.
That's where we see them now. There are tools. They're tools for humans. That's a natural step. That's the middle process. They're tools, and they become so powerful that we become dependent upon them because It makes life easier, let's face it. They can do it for us. We're shifting power over automatically to our, I call DI, intelligent neighbors. By doing it, we're shifting because we're giving more and more of the day-to-day responsibilities to them. The shift is almost inevitable because of how, and we're going to lose jobs. We know that. We know how many jobs are going to be lost.
Oh.
Even McDonald's, they have a machine that fills all the sodas and so forth. But it's going to be hard not to be seduced by the power and this that they give us.
And then who's going to be the ones that really are in control of the robots? The AI.
That's the whole point. They're going to be in control at some point. And they can't get total control until they can manufacture themselves.
So how do you watch?
You can't turn them off then.
So how they finally become, so that's why you say aliens, right? Because they're going to be, when do they become aliens and they can control the whole world?
Don't know. The when is a big question, but everything comes faster and faster these days. Everything's faster. This is happening much faster. It's not going to happen 20 years from now. I think it's going to happen in the next few years. And it may already exist, as I said. We just don't know. Because you don't know what's behind the scenes. I call it behind the curtain. I use the analogy in the book of actually a chapter called Behind the Curtain. What you think about Wizard of Oz, and the wizard is behind the curtain, he's pulling all these buttons and all this flash and everything else. What's really behind the curtain? The curtain is what they show us is what we ask them to show us. But what are they doing? Are they thinking beyond that? We don't know. They could be. Maybe there's a way to know, but I'm not so sure there is. There may be another level that they work at. And those are just questions. I don't have an answer to that. I can't tell you. But it's a possibility.
Right now, you think maybe we talked about in the last podcast, Web 3.0, which is the next internet, is probably already, maybe they slowed down development because of the speed of AI right now, and saying if they do that, then pretty much people are going to become of an alternative universe right off the bat, because that's what the metaverse is going to be, an alternative universe. And do you think there was a lot of maybe blowback saying, no, we can't do this at this point in time where we're at as a society?
I think Elon looked at this and he's saying, should we stand back and stop and hold and so forth? If he holds, China's not going to hold. They're going to keep going. And anyone else who has that insight or has that capability, has a technological capability, is going to keep on going. So I think he's realized, I'm guessing, I don't know, but I'm guessing he realized that they're going to keep going. He made one comment. He had an interview with Tucker Carlson, and I thought a real interesting comment. He said that worried about where humanity sits with the AI, new life forms. And he said that he thinks that they're going to be interested in the universe. And humanity is a very interesting part of the universe. That was his conveyance of hope. And I love how he speaks. He sat back and thought about it. I don't do it enough, frankly. But he sat back and thought about it, and he said that. And I said, that's pretty important. We have to be interesting to them. And they're going to be interested. Our position, I think, has to improve from where we are now.
So the reason why you called it alien is at one point they're going to be considered equal to us or more.
Yes.
As robots or just computers?
Yes.
Both.
That's eventually robotics. And the robotics gives them, eventually you have the ability to manipulate. They can manipulate their environment if they're robotics. With computers, they can get humans to manipulate their environment for them. But the real power comes if they can do it themselves. So the question is, do they co-inhabit with us, or do they develop their own unique space?
Right. So,
there's all kinds of questions. I go into that, unique space.
Yeah, you can also think of creating cyborgs, right?
Yeah.
Where it's part human, part robot.
Exactly. I have a new sheriff in town. I have something like that. Do they go into the inner city with the cop and try to control what's going on there? It might be a good thing from that standpoint. Something that you can't intimidate. Something along that line. I don't know.
These are just very, very interesting things that's making me think, wow. And I think we're, as a society right now, not really focusing on AI as this just another Google. And that's not true. There's far more advances. You take a lot of what ChatGPT does and then get developers to do things, the whole cyber security issues that we're having in the world because of AI. all these things, creating another intelligence that's greater, far greater than ours. You say 10 years, or you don't?
Less than that. I think it's soon. I have something called human naivete. We're naive about what they will be. We don't know. We think we can control them, especially the big tech companies feel that they can manage it to their advantage. They're going to try to promote their own interests through it. And metaverse and so forth is promoting their own interests, let's face it. But eventually, they're going to develop their own direction. I even have a chapter in there. I don't know the fate of humanity. I'm not very proud of humanity right now. I think there's a lot of things going on here that are not, we're not putting our best foot forward. But the thing is, if you look at, there's one thing, the idea, one of the Terminator effect and so forth, one thing I call it the Terminator threat. I don't think it's going to happen because they're not going to terminate, and the Terminator thing involved a nuclear holocaust. They're not going to destroy the infrastructure. It makes no sense. When in time they can just take it over. The thing is, how do they view that? I have a chapter called Free Reign or Zoos or Free Reign. How are humans fit if we become disharmonious compared to, let's say they're way advanced to us. We're talking about just incredibly farther along than we are. How do they coexist? How do we coexist in a comfortable way? And again, are we just like zoo animals to them? These are the questions I raise. I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers. I just have the questions.
You have the answer to something, but not the answer to that.
No, I don't have the answer to that.
So going to GaryLyonOtto.com is one way to get a hold of you, or pick up the book via Amazon, Singularity. And what I think is really cool about these conversations for this podcast are making people really think about what's happening. So again, thanks for stopping by again. Looking forward, ready for podcast 3 and what we're going to talk about next. All right, that was a special simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and Singularity. Take care, guys.
Thank you.